What is up there, everybody? See Red Sports here with yet another video. And today we have the Week 13, Week 14 Top 10 College Football video. And we're going to cover the top 10 teams in this video. This is with myself, a Husker fan, and Red River Aviation, an Oklahoma Sooner fan. And we're combining these 2 weeks because this is being uploaded later. And so I just want to put this out because we had some thoughts on some teams like Iowa State, Wisconsin, and a few other things I thought were worth talking about, and so this discussion will be in the video. So I hope you guys enjoy the Week 13, Week 14 Top 10 College Football Teams video. We both have Alabama 1, I think that's pretty obvious. I have Ohio State 2, Notre Dame 3, you have those two swapped, and then we both have Clemson 4. I'll just quickly explain these. Ohio State, I still have them at number 2 because despite the fact that Justin Fields, the best player on their team, played the worst game of his entire career, they still beat and at the time top 10 ranked Indiana team, and an Indiana team that really played their best to try to win. And this Indiana team might even still finish in the top 10. I have them down at, you'll see where, but they're still very good team, and despite the fact that Ohio State played a poor game, had them down, I still have them at 2. Now, if you put Notre Dame at 2, that's totally fair. I could definitely see the argument because Notre Dame, they're undefeated, and they have the best wins, really, of anyone so far. Basically, in all college football, being Clemson. It was a great game. They have had their own struggle bus wins, but right now not Clemson, but Notre Dame is playing very good football, and they actually have a decent chance at the Clemson rematch. And here you can see we have Sakeup. Obviously, Cincinnati at 6, not much to talk about there. We talked about them. We beat them, that dead horse, a lot. Now we have a little bit of a disagreement on A&M and Florida in particular. We have BYU about the same spot. We've talked about them plenty. They once again destroyed their opponent 66-14 this weekend. Nothing much to report there. BYU doing what they do. Florida is at 5 for me, versus you have A&M at 5, and then I have A&M at 8. You have Florida at 7. So I want to talk about why I still have Florida ahead of A&M. And first off, I think if they played today, Florida would beat A&M by a lot. Secondly, yes, Florida did struggle with Vandy, particularly in the first half. But Florida pulled away from Vanderbilt in the second half. And Vanderbilt's showing to be a team that you have to grind them out. They're not just the easy throwaway win this year. They're playing time of possession game. They're making it difficult for you to get a high score on them. So Florida beating Vanderbilt 38-17 doesn't look too terrible, particularly considering when A&M only beat them 17-12. Now that was the first week, and the weird things happened in week 1. Mississippi State, and things have much improved for Texas A&M, but I don't know. I just still have a bad feeling about this team, but I am putting them up in the rankings all the time because they are proving to be legit. You'll probably still see them continue to climb for me here soon. We're going to have a great SEC title game between Florida and Alabama, and Florida does have a legit chance to win that game. So it'll be very exciting to see what happens. Do you want to explain your ranking for A&M and Florida?
Sure. Okay, Texas A&M I do have ahead. As we've talked about numerous times throughout this season, I go up more off of a resume and what has happened recently. And I've been, Texas A&M obviously has the head-to-head. Obviously, it would be different now, but still, you have your head-to-head win. And they've looked good for what they've been able to play, but unfortunately, they've had 2 postponements between Tennessee and Ole Miss, so they've been quiet for a long time. But still, though, after the Florida win, they had the win versus Mississippi State, Arkansas, and absolutely thumping South Carolina. So there is no doubt in my mind, Texas A&M still good. Florida's defense just have not been impressed whatsoever with the average Vanderbilt team, 35 points to Arkansas, and all that sort of stuff. But, they still have the win over Georgia and everything like that. I don't think they're a bad team whatsoever, but I guess the head-to-head was kind of big for me, which we'll see later on down the rankings with my own team. That's kind of surprising. I'm not being biased whatsoever, but I was impressed with A&M. They're doing great things, and hopefully they're able to play this week. If this is the 3rd straight week they can't play, yikes! But that's what I got for A&M. Proud of those guys, and excited to see both teams play. Florida as well. Florida's not a bad team by any means. Really like their offense and what they're doing there.
Yeah, and you do mention a very fair point, and that is that A&M did win the head-to-head over Florida. Now, I don't think that would happen again, particularly if they played later in the season, like, say, they played this week. But A&M, if you want to put A&M ahead of Florida, that's fine. I just don't want to do it yet, but that could happen as the season moves on. So, at number 9, I have Northwestern, and I have the Oklahoma Sooners at 10. We are going to have a discussion about this one. You have Northwestern 9 and Oregon at 10. So, let's talk about Northwestern. We didn't do a Week 12 top 10 last week, but I was going to pick I considered picking the upset for Northwestern over Wisconsin. And the thing is, Northwestern is a legit team. And one of the things I saw about them was they beat Iowa, a team that's now shown that they are also legit. And Northwestern, we talk about freezing points in college football. Northwestern, as a defense, is able to freeze offenses that are really good. They're able to slow down literally any offense in college football. And this is going to be a great title game between Northwestern and Ohio State. And this is going to be a grind-out game for Ohio State. They're going to have to, once again, as I mentioned with Northwestern, they are going to have to play solidly. They can't make mistakes, or Northwestern will convert on those.
Or just let up with 25 minutes left in the game.
Yeah. And Northwestern's just really well coached by Pat Fitzgerald. They play very simple defenses, and they run simple schemes of offense. Nothing too complicated. They make it very simple and easy. He gets the most out of his 2-star players, makes them all look like 4 stars. This Northwestern team is legit, and every so often, every few years, Northwestern goes on a run, and they just look really good. And this year is looking like one of those years. Northwestern, they have showed up to really show that they want to play this season more than many other teams. This team's legit. Do you want to continue with your thoughts on Northwestern?
Was beyond impressed with their win versus Wisconsin. A really good team. 5 takeaways on a team that likes to run the ball a lot is super impressive. They made their quarterback, the Wisconsin quarterback, just not look comfortable whatsoever. And I was just impressed by how they grinded out. That defense is legit, man. And they're going to have an awesome championship game versus Ohio State. Ohio State's not going to have to find a better way than what they did in the second half this week versus Indiana if they want to win that game. I was beyond impressed with the Wildcats. Coming off the 3-9 year last year, we didn't know what to expect with this team. They are 5-0, rising into the top 10 for both of us. Really like this team, man. They are super, super good. I'm so excited for their future and what's to come for Northwestern. They're going to have definitely some winnable games ahead, if not easier, with Michigan State, Minnesota, Illinois, and probably that championship game. Minnesota is really the only team that may give them a little trouble, but I think they're going to go into that championship game 8-0. Really excited to see that matchup versus Ohio State in about a month. But was very impressed with the Wildcats. That's a crazy win. I knew it was going to be a low-scoring defensive game, but man, how about the 24 total points? That's not very 2020 for college football.
I know, right? Yeah, they are definitely able to slow down offenses. And a lot of people forget that the 2018 Big Ten title game was a competitive game between Northwestern and Ohio State for 3 quarters. In fact, Ohio State was down to Northwestern about
halftime.
Yeah, they were down at halftime, and they were down part way through the third as well. So Northwestern can keep up with a team like Ohio State. They can scheme very well. The Big Ten title game has really been really competitive the last couple of years.
The one I think of is Michigan State and Iowa in 15. That was a really good one.
Fantastic game. Also, the 2018 game was good until Ohio State pulled away. And then
Wisconsin and Ohio State played 1 year.
Yeah.
Maybe that was last year.
That was 2019, the 34-20 game, 21 game, where Wisconsin was leading at the half, 21-7.
Kind of fell apart.
They play like literally every year.
Facts.
Alright, so with that being said, we're going to move on to Oklahoma. And, you go ahead, talk about this Oklahoma team. Give the viewers an idea of why they are such a good team and what they've done to really improve.
Okay, get ready for a speech, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for letting me take this time to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. First thing I want to start with, I have my Sooners at 13. Just as a simple ranking, obviously, I'm not being biased whatsoever. I have a lot of things to say about my Sooners, so I'm going to be beginning talking about them. Let's talk about the 5-game winning streak that the Oklahoma Sooners have had as of recent. It's been a very impressive stretch. The 4-overtime miracle versus Texas, multiple score win versus TCU, a thumping of Texas Tech, Kansas, and I thought there was another team, and no, there wasn't. Texas Tech and Kansas, and then coming into this game and beating a very solid Oklahoma State team by 28 points. This rivalry is a joke. 90 wins. When we get to 120-30, we are canceling the rivalry. It is over. There is no reason to play this game anymore. It is obvious who the better team is. My Sooners were super impressive this week. We finally played some real defense versus a good offense, and I was super impressed, man. It frustrates me because my man Citrus forgot to upload the video, but I said in the he can back me up on this, but I said in that we were going to do a top 5 best games of the week, and Sooners game was one of them. And I said that this Sooners team had a real opportunity to go out there and play complete and absolutely thump Oklahoma State. But I called it as a closer game. I said it was going to be 42-28 because I didn't know if the defense was quite ready yet. They were ready, man. Rodney Perkins played super well. We got some real players out there. Number 2, his name's slipping my mind right now. It's kind of odd. He had a killer interception. Defense just played as a whole, man. Beyond impressed with our run defense. They shut down the whole running game. I think they had 78 rushing yards total. Absolute thumping of a performance. We shut down Wallace. We've had problems with that when he played us in 2018. He had 220 yards. This game, he had 68, which obviously, 68 yards is a lot. But considering a probably first-round draft pick, that's impressive, man. And getting off to a 21-0 lead on your rival, that's when you know this is over. Obviously, Sanders went down early, and the OSU fans are going to say that was the difference. No, it wasn't. The difference was that OU's the better team. Yeah, OSU's run defense played really well, and they kept this a game. It was 27-13 at the end of the third quarter. I was impressed with their defense from the second to the third quarter. But OU, man, persistence, man. We didn't give up on the run game, and Ramondre Stevenson proved that with 26 carries for 141 yards, 5.4 carry, and his long carry was 30 yards. And let's not forget that he had 70-plus yards in the fourth quarter alone. I am so proud of this team for not giving up on it. Mikey Henderson made some nice plays for us, which was nice to see some glimpses of him. Marvin Mims had one of the best catches of the year. It was spectacular, especially for a freshman. Theo Weiss finally not dropping touchdowns. He had 2 of them on 2 catches. Was beyond impressed with this team, man. We played complete. Yeah, sure that the offense didn't go crazy in the second and third quarters, only scoring 6 points. We missed a field goal at halftime. Third quarter, we weren't able to go get persistent, but it's fine. We were able to. Our defense, man, no second half points at the end of the game. OSU drives down there to the 1-yard line, and we stopped them 4 times in a row. That's the pride I love to see in this Oklahoma team in a rivalry. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Now, the reason that I have the Oklahoma at 13 and not in the top 10 like Citrus does, I have a couple reasons. I love this team. We're on a great roll. 5-game winning streak, man. TCU, Texas, Texas Tech, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. It's been impressive. Don't get me wrong. But unfortunately, that does not change the meltdown versus Kansas State. That doesn't change the fact that we lost at Iowa State. Both teams, Kansas State was different in week 2, but we have to consider that they were literally playing walk-ons in the secondary, so awful. Iowa State's a great team, no doubt about it. Iowa State's awesome. Kansas State was awesome at the time, kind of, but anyways. Doesn't change the fact that this team's lost 2 games, but this team did not give up. And I've been super proud of this team. 2009, 2014, we fell on our face, especially in 14. But the last 5 years, we've been super impressive. And just like in 2016, we started 2-2, lost to Houston and Ohio State. Same concept here. But does this team give up? Absolutely not. Been very proud of the coaches that we've had over the years to keep this team excited and hungry for what's to come and winning games. Lincoln Riley's an awesome head coach. He's like 15-8 or something impressive like that. Youngest head coach in the league. Was really impressed with some of his play calls too. He had a really nice touchdown or reverse fake pass to Jeremiah Hall, which got us rolling in the fourth quarter. Just a very impressive win over our rivals, Oklahoma State, though. I know it's not Texas, but still, when you've beat a rivalry whatsoever, or a rival whatsoever, it feels good, especially by 28 points. This Oklahoma team's found their groove, man. Hottest team, one of the hottest teams in the NCAA right now. There's no doubt in my mind. And no, yeah, big shout out to Spencer Sanders. 5 total touchdowns, 350 yards. Keep in mind, OU, yeah, our defense held Oklahoma State to 250 yards. That is unheard of for this Oklahoma State offense. They're good. Don't get me wrong. Chuba Hubbard, Spencer Sanders, Tylan Wallace, Stoner. They have a lot of good players. But our defense, man, we're complete. D-line's awesome. Linebacking core's awesome. Getting pressure. Forcing pass breakups. And, yeah, penalties were a problem. That's really where we struggled on defense and gave up our 13 points. Bookie's got to go, 44. He's awful. Not impressed. But that deserves its own video. He's so bad. But I went on about a 10-minute speech about my boys, but I'm just very impressed with them, and they really deserved it. Oklahoma's awesome, and I'm really excited for what's to come. At West Virginia, 6:30 prime time. We're going to beat them. 11-point favorite? No, I call it by more like 15 or probably 3 scores. Impressed with my guys. Thank you for letting me have a speech about them. Much deserved. Well done, Sooners.
Absolutely. I think one of the big things that happened is that Spencer Rattler finally grew up. He finally matured a little bit. And I said that there were some issues with him during the Iowa State game. He just looked like a loser, frankly. Yes, I know that some of your previous quarterbacks have had some issues, but the thing is, they still played like winners. They didn't completely lose it. And at some point, maybe it was during the Texas game, maybe he was threatened to be benched or something.
He did get benched.
Okay, alright, he did. Alright, that's what I thought. Anyway, but the thing
He
is...
got benched after 2 turnovers.
Yeah, at some point, he grew up and became a man and started playing real football. And about that time, because the quarterback's often the leader of a team, the team seemed to grow up with him, and they really, really have improved since. And they almost look unstoppable. Maybe by some of the top-tier teams they are. And so I really want to reward them for that. So they have 2... what are terrible losses. The Kansas State loss, inexcusable. So, frankly, so is the Iowa State loss, because Iowa State did not play amazing during that game either.
Yeah, no kidding. We're better than that.
Yeah, but let's be real. The Iowa State-Oklahoma rivalry really does a good job of replacing Oklahoma-Nebraska. It's a pretty good rivalry.
We'll get it again in the Big 12 Championship. That's going to be a killer game.
Yeah. Well, just forget about Oklahoma State-Oklahoma. Really, you guys
that's over.
You guys set the tone very early. I know you will talk about how the sack didn't change the momentum of the game, but it set the tone of that game. And really, it was like, with that, they kind of, Oklahoma defense showed that, yeah, we're here to play, and we're going to play much better than we have, and this is not going to be easy for you guys. We're going to make this hard, and that's exactly what they did. And Oklahoma's really good. I think they're worthy of top 10. I think that they are going to prove me correct in the upcoming weeks.
They'll be in top 10 by the end of the year for me. Love my boys.
Yep. So with that being said, we'll probably go through the rest of our teams quicker, because we've talked about a bunch of these. And our first team's out with Miami, Oregon, Georgia. Georgia finally found the quarterback. Congratulations, but the rest of your team's falling apart.
Start with the defense.
Yep. Yeah. Coastal Carolina, we talked about them. Indiana, we kind of talked about them. They're still a legit team, so we still want to award them, even though they lost.
They have fight, man. They got fight. No doubt. They got
Absolutely.
Fight.
They will be able to compete with anybody they play this year. And do you want to talk about Oregon? I think this is an interesting discussion. You got them in the top 10. I do not. And we'll talk about
I do have a little bit to talk about Oregon. But have been impressed with their second half efforts to keep winning these games. Sure, they're not your crazy blowout team like BYU or any of those guys, but they're finding ways to win. Obviously, a close game versus UCLA this week, but they're a solid overall team. Their defenses gave up some points and some numbers, but oh well. I still think that they are climbing and doing good things. Probably should have won the game by more, but it's just one of those deals where they're still good, but I feel like since they have only been able to play 3 games to this point, they haven't found their groove and they haven't been electrifying yet. But I feel like that groove's going to hopefully be here by the Washington game, but they don't have much time left. They get Oregon State, Cal, and then Washington. So I feel like the team has potential, but
They need to find their groove and find it quick. But I thought that they were. They have talent. They just got to put it together. That's why they're top 10 for me.
All right. So with Oregon, I have some concerns about this team. The first thing, I've watched their games so far this year, and they've looked, frankly, kind of boring to me. I've almost wanted to turn the game or the highlights off, which, the highlight reels are supposed to be interesting to watch, but I found them to be boring. I think this team is just not gotten it together yet. I mean, so they have parts that are looking good. Their running game's great, but they still missing all their field goals. What's up with that, Pac-12? And they're still turning the ball over. Now, I must admit, he is a freshman quarterback, and I think he'll improve a lot over time. But turnovers have almost cost them 3 games in a row now. And they've really kind of struggled with mediocrity. And I think at some point that's going to bite them. At some point, they are not going to go undefeated. They're going to lose to somebody in the regular season. And USC seems to be improving, which is not good news for Oregon. So I can't confidently put them in the top 10 yet, because I see there's just I've got a bad feeling about this team. And I don't know who they're going to lose to. They could lose to Oregon State this weekend. I mean, Oregon State, as bad as they have been, they've shown that they want to compete. Yeah. But even last year, they actually weren't entirely terrible. So if Oregon's not careful, they're going to lose to somebody, and they're going to drop out of here completely, and also ruin the Pac-12's chances of making the playoff, which they're kind of dead anyway. But that's a discuss maybe for another time, or you can watch tons of videos of people who talked about it.
That team's got to find their groove, especially on defense.
Absolutely, and we talked about this coming into the season. That Oregon was supposed to have one of the best defenses this year.
Oh, they've not. Right now.
Northwestern
yes,
has a better
that's
defense.
the best defense in the league right now. They're right there with the Clemson, Alabama. Man,
absolutely.
You held Wisconsin to 7 points, and then you got Michigan. Oh, we're got to talk about that Michigan-Penn State game, but Michigan put it up. I was thinking the Minnesota game. My bad. But then, no, Wisconsin put 50 up on Michigan's defense. That's what I was
49-11.
Yeah. Shit. Yikes. Oh, I did have one question, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where's your Cyclones? After 45-0, they're just
admit,
Coastal Carolina's better?
I must admit, I forgot to put them in.
Bruh. I about did that with Miami since they had a bye. I was really close, but come on now, man. The Cyclones 45-0. We talked about that in our games of the week, too. I said that Iowa State could win decently, but I didn't expect 45-0, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I was beyond dumbfounded to see that. Cyclones are good, man. That running back they got is a player, man. He's going to be a unit in the NFL. Same goes for Brock Purdy's just playing solid right now, but that defense, I know that they have the backup quarterback, but a goose egg for Kansas State. I mean, obviously that happened versus OU in 2015, but you think this offense with that 22 kid and a couple of the other guys, and they put up even 18 on Oklahoma State, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a good Iowa State team, and it will be interesting to see what they do. Sorry I forgot to put them on. My bad. Sorry, Cyclone fans. I know there is one Cyclone fan who watches these ranking videos, so yeah. We have the top 5 exactly the same. Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Florida. I think that's kind of a fairly obvious order. Alabama's just the best team in the country. Notre Dame, very good team. They had the win over Clemson, and Clemson's come back to form. Ohio State, we just dropped them because they haven't played as many games. And yes, they have looked good in those games. And Indiana, don't worry about the Indiana thing. Indiana is just a good team. That's just all you can really say for them. And Ohio State, though, they could miss out on the playoffs. It would be the great irony of 2020 if Michigan decided to cancel the game against Ohio State would ruin Ohio State's season. That would be basically the ultimate troll job, wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Florida is at 5. Now, yes, Texas A&M did beat Florida in the head-to-head, and I am steadily moving Texas A&M up as the weeks go on, as you guys probably noticed. Texas A&M got the win, but the thing is that Florida is just a better team overall. They've looked better. It just happened that the Texas A&M matchup, which I want to say that was like week 5, looked. It was better for Texas A&M than it was for Florida for that weekend. Now, if they played now, Florida would destroy Texas A&M, but it just was what it was. Texas A&M ultimately won the game, and so they're in the top 7. Cincinnati and Texas A&M, we have those swapped for 6 and 7. It's mostly just because Cincinnati is still really good, and I think a Cincinnati-Texas A&M game would be really good and probably really close.
Okay, so I know that I have really hyped up my guys at Cincinnati. I really had them really high for a long time. I think I had them at 5 at one point.
Yes,
I know that I have personally dropped them to 7. I'm kind of transitioning over to the college football playoff, just a little glimpse of it in here, not because it's all that I think about. It's just because when we get down to the final teams that have a realistic shot to make it into the playoff, I'm kind of viewing it like that. I'm viewing it like, okay, who has the best chance as of right now to make it into the college football playoff? Because obviously that's the ultimate goal for the top of the lineup here. So that's why Cincinnati's a little lower. Like Citrus was saying, I think Texas A&M would have an awesome matchup with Cincinnati. I would probably even pick Cincinnati, but they had to postpone their game. Texas A&M was able to play. It looked awful, but this doesn't take anything away that Cincinnati's a bad team or anything like that. They're one of the best teams, potentially even top 4 team. Now, if they beat Tulsa upcoming here in a couple weeks, it's going to be big time, man. It's going to be huge. So I'm really eager to see that football game. They're likely going to play twice. Tulsa had to postpone another game versus Houston. Oh, we'll talk about those guys more in a little bit, but I just wanted to quickly clarify that everything previously stated, I completely agree with. The only thing was, I know I've been high on Cincinnati, but I kind of went with the college football playoff rankings a little bit and just put them back just because at this point in the year we're looking at who has a legitimate chance to take or go get into college football playoffs. So that's why I have Cincinnati where I do.
All right, and I always take a look at who are the best teams, and this is why I think I have these teams. And we'll talk about some of the other teams that we considered for top 10, and we'll be able to have a nice little rant on the college football playoff committee's weird decisions as well. But yeah, there are only 7 teams left that have a chance to make the playoff, and those are the top 7 teams that we have here. That's really all I can say. Each of these teams has a very legit chance to do it. The top 4 teams, all they have to do is win out, and they're in. In fact, Notre Dame doesn't even have to beat Clemson to make it.
Well, Ohio State, first and foremost, that's a different situation. But the top 3, yes, correct.
Yes. Well, Ohio State, if they win out, they're probably still in, because even if they don't make the title game,
if they don't make, I don't know. I've seen pondering theories about if they don't make the championship game. But
they could still get in because they would then play Wisconsin, who is the second best team in the West, which would still be currently top 20 win, which would still look good on the resume. So I think they'd still have enough to win.
They can't get another game canceled though, or any of that. They really can't afford it. I don't know what the CFB rankings minimums are going to be. For how much or how many games you're going to have to play or whatever, but. They got to be able to play all their games. I feel like they can't have another cancellation.
Yeah, I don't think a cancellation will help them, but I still think that even if they did have a cancellation, they'd probably still make it in, because it's very obvious that the College Football Playoff Committee, they're ranking team partly off a brand name, and it's Ohio State. Of course, Ohio State will make a lot of money if they make the playoff, and they are going by the eye test. They are clearly not punishing teams for playing less games. So, there is that. And the BYU is at 8. This is a good time to talk about some of the stupid decisions the playoff committee is making.
Everybody, I think, has agreed that it's completely stupid that BYU has been so underranked. So
agreed. They deserve to be in the top 10. They are good enough to make it.
13 now is absolutely dumbfounding. It's sorry, that's how bad it is. It's not good.
Yep, they were 14 in the first week of the playoff committee rankings. Now they moved up one spot. I think that's because Northwestern lost, if I'm correct. But Yeah, BYU's being disrespected just because they haven't played anybody. Now they have killed everybody they've played except for UTSA, but they've still done what they needed to. And then from there, our rankings diverge at 9 and 10. So I'll just put up 9 and 10 and who we considered for a top 10, because this leads into the rest of the discussion for the video. I have Oklahoma at 9, Georgia at 10, and then I considered Indiana, Northwestern, Iowa State, and Miami, but decided not to put either of 4 of those teams in. I think those are the only 4 other teams you could consider for the top 10. Wisconsin is not a top 10 team because the only good team they played, they got destroyed by. And then you have Iowa State 9, Miami 10, and you considered Indiana, Oklahoma, Northwestern, Georgia, and Wisconsin.
That's in order from 11 to 15.
Yes, correct. It's essentially our 11 through 15. So I essentially have Indiana 11, Northwestern 12, Iowa State 13, Miami 14. But yeah, those are our rankings, and I think there's a good bit to talk about here. I'm just going to discuss Oklahoma. Obviously,
I'll be chipping in after that if possible.
I guess I'm sure you have a lot to say as the official Sooner fan on the channel. I'm just going to say that Iowa State and Kansas State beating Oklahoma, yes, they were bad losses, but Oklahoma managed to get that by early in the year, and they've looked a lot better as the year's gone on. Now, obviously, I do weigh in your schedule, but if you take a look at a lot of these other teams, I think Georgia would have lost 2 games if they were in Oklahoma's shoes. I don't think they would have done any better. Maybe BYU would have done better. They just have looked a lot more complete overall, and they've just looked more focused, particularly early in the season, which is where Oklahoma slipped up. As I predicted in my top 25 preview, which I did like 8 months ago.
I don't think BYU had all. I think BYU had all their players though.
Yeah, but even still, as I said with the prediction video, with my top 25 prediction video in the like 8 months ago, I thought Oklahoma would lose 1 or 2 games all in the season just because they were a very inexperienced team coming into the season. If you wanted to catch Oklahoma, catch them early, because as they would develop through the year, they would get a lot better. And that's exactly what's happening. I'm not surprised by this at all. Spencer Rattler's turned out to be pretty good. He was pretty bad, to be honest, early in the year. Yes, there have been some holes on the defense for Oklahoma, but they are getting better. And this team is looking very good. Yes, they have 2 losses, but they are the best 2-loss team in the country. The only other option would be Georgia, because JT Daniels is working out very well for them. And this Georgia team is putting it together here on the stretch, which kind of doesn't matter because the season's over because they lost the big games. Obviously, Northwestern looked good, except for Michigan State, who's basically the wrecking ball of the Big Ten, basically ruining everybody's season. Indiana, still a good team. Yes, they did not look amazing against Maryland, but they won the game, which is important. Iowa State, I really like this Iowa State team as well. I really like what Matt Campbell's doing there. I would definitely consider him for the Michigan job. Matt Campbell, if you want to get the Michigan job, it would be a good fit for you. Miami, I just am slowly dropping them because they're not playing games, and that's going to be an issue. So, with that being said, you want to explain your rankings?
I would. Okay, let's begin with. I'm going to start with Oklahoma only because that was the first team talked about, and it's kind of fresh in my mind. But I'll go in order after I start with Oklahoma. So, I have Oklahoma placed at number 12. As great as we've played recently, as well as we've done, as dominant as we have been, as amazing as we've played football, nothing changes the fact that we lost to a secondary that had walk-ons starting in September. That Kansas State team was honestly not good. They're not good. They're really not. They had a quarterback that was good, but that doesn't change the fact that you blow a 21-point lead in the second half and lose at home to an awful team. There's no accepting it. The Iowa State loss was pretty good. It's not a horrible loss, but still, nevertheless.
So mention you did play terrible in that game, though, against an Iowa State team.
No doubt. Obviously, they're a top 15 team agreed on by everybody. But that, on top of that, we have to keep in mind that it's still a loss, and we could have played much better. Iowa State's obviously they've had one of their best years in a long time. But that doesn't change the fact that at the time it was not supposed to be that good of a game. So Here's kind of where we're at with Oklahoma. Obviously, early in the year, we had issues. This is a 2016 repeat for the most part. It's been the struggle bus. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, ever since the Texas thrilling 4 overtime win, been dominant. There's nothing more to say. Beat your rival by 28. A good top. Yeah, they're back in the top 15 now. Top 15 team.
Which is very strange.
Yeah, that's stupid that they moved up 8 spots. I may have to talk about that at the end too. Your top, like I said, you beat your rival, you beat your teams that are really bad, absolutely thump them, and you had to have a game postponed, but if you're able to play all 3 and then go to the Big 12 championship, which they control now, by the way, after Baylor beat Kansas State, so that's not anything. If OU wins out, they're in the Big 12 championship by Iowa State. I think Iowa State's officially clinched it, but here's kind of where we're at. I know the losses in the year early were bad, but this is the best 2-loss team in the country, in my opinion. They are super good. They're complete with Ramondre Stevenson and Rodney Perkins. This team's special, man. They are electrifying. They play hard. The D-line is amazing. This team's so much different, man. This team is different. I know we haven't seen them play in a couple weeks, but there's no doubt about it. They are a fun team to watch, and early in the year, it was obviously a challenge. It was obviously a struggle. There's no doubt about it. It was a tough go at it. But we have prevailed, and we've really turned it around. I'm glad we didn't fall on our face, because if we would have lost that game to Texas,
that would have been the real end of the season.
That would have been the end of the year. I don't know where we would be right now if we would have lost that game to Texas. But we prevailed, man. This team's still been motivated to play, and they've played really well. There's no doubt about it. I'm so much happier with how the defense has been. It looks like we have to have a defense now, and with the COVID pass, if we're going to get all of our players back, this is going to be a team to watch out for. And I'm really eager to see if we're going to get to play the Cornhuskers next year. I would really hope things are better by then.
Yeah,
but I feel like they deserve their 12th spot in my rankings, but if they go get a win at a good West Virginia team on the road, they're probably going to be looking at the top 10 for me. Iowa State at 9. I thought their win versus Texas was really good. They fought hard, man. Texas got up early, but Iowa State didn't give up, and that's what the team does, man. Hull only ran for 90 yards, but that still doesn't change the fact that he played well. One guy that stepped up, I thought, though, was Brock Purdy, man. 300 yards and a touchdown and completing about 60% of your passes. Impressive, man. Iowa State did not have the lead in this game till 1 minute left in the fourth quarter. They played a great second half. When you outscore somebody, how about 13-7 in the second half? Not only does that show you play good defense, but you don't give up. Iowa State owned time possession. Yards were very similar. A couple more first downs. Oh, sorry, my speakers were on my computer. I apologize about that. But
they had more third down conversions. That was a big.
Yeah. On top of that and everything, this Texas team isn't awful, guys. Sam Ehlinger is a great player. He had 350 plus total yards. When you're trying to cover Eagles and I'll check the press box, but I'm forgetting the other receiver's name. Smith was big for them. When you have to cover those guys, it's hard. But Iowa State showed that they're a real contender, man. Great win for the Cyclones. I thought they were more than worthy of a top 10 position at 9. Very impressive. Miami, I have at 10. They're one of the when they have all their players, I think they're a very solid team. Obviously, they haven't played a game in weeks, but lots of close ones. It hasn't been necessarily pretty the whole year. Obviously, now you're going to have Duke, UNC, and apparently they're going to play the Georgia Tech game on the 19th now. So if they can play the rest of these games, and they should look good in all of them. And the North Carolina game, I'm interested to see how that's going to go. It's going to be an interesting game between two decent offenses.
Just watch.
Sorry, North Carolina is good. Miami is average. Go ahead.
Yeah, just watch the College Football Playoff Committee put North Carolina in the top 10 if they beat Miami.
It may happen. They love those guys. They love them. I thought Miami is they're still going strong, but obviously not perfect. So that's where I have Miami. I have the Hoosiers at 11 as well. They looked a little, I don't want to say demotivated, but they definitely weren't the same team versus Maryland, who's not the best team in the world. They did get 3 interceptions, though, so that's a nice stat line there. And they wore the gray uniforms and were able to score 27 points and get a good win for the Hoosiers there. It was was 27-3. So the offense kind of just went quiet. Maryland got that last second touchdown. So I still think the Hoosiers are good, but I definitely don't think they, played their full game, I guess. Offense was a little quiet. But it's huge that Penix got hurt. So that's going to be huge for them. I don't know how they're going to go about that, but they got Wisconsin. It's a winnable game even without Penix, and I really hope for the best.
Yeah, and we're actually looking at a very interesting world where if things go a certain interesting way, the Big Ten title game will be Indiana versus Northwestern. Who would have predicted that in the offseason?
It's possible. It's possible. We talked about Oklahoma at 12. I have Georgia at 13. They dominated. I'll give them that. They played a lot better versus South Carolina, but South Carolina is not very good. That's South Carolina's 7th loss. But yeah, you should beat a bad team like that. One of those wins is Auburn, by the way. Let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that was a very good win against Auburn. Now Auburn's not very good this year, but it was still a good win.
They're above average for a 2-win team to beat, so that's kind of something to keep in mind. But yeah, they should dominate that game. They played a lot better, and I just don't think this is kind of just like the Kansas for the SEC this year. I wasn't impressed. After the Mississippi State struggles, obviously they looked better, and I moved them up 2 spots, but I don't think they're quite ready for the top 10 yet. Be back. I still think they're good, and they found their quarterback, but I want to see that quarterback versus some actual competition, if you know what I'm trying to say. So that's where I have that.
Well, the thing is, I think that what I really was impressed by Georgia and why I had them higher and in the top 10 was Kirby Smart actually so that he can actually play a variety of game plans. Last week against Mississippi State, they decided to sling the ball around. The defense didn't really show up, which was a problem. But this week, because it was a rivalry game and they're wanting revenge against South Carolina, they decided to play some smash mouth football, and they absolutely destroyed South Carolina at it. And we saw JT Daniels be comfortable in doing both, which is something we haven't really seen a Georgia quarterback be able to do. Not even Jake Fromm could really do that. So we're looking at JT Daniels really being the future quarterback for Georgia, which is really going to be important because week 1 of the 2021 season, they play Clemson in what I believe is the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic.
Sounds right.
So, what do you think of Wisconsin? I've always said what I think of Wisconsin.
Okay, so here we go for 14 and 15. Northwestern gets some momentum and they completely fall on themselves and they lose to an awful Michigan State team. Nothing more to say. I don't know how you slip up in a game like that. Like I was talking about earlier, it's like Northwestern suited up as Michigan State and Michigan State suited up as Northwestern. They just looked opposite. They made their good comeback. They tried hard, but I mean, it was like just what the HE double happened. I mean, there's nothing more to say than it was a complete collapse. Really sad, too, for a team that's so good. The defense looked frantic early in the game. That's tough, man. That's tough. They only got one regular season game versus Illinois. I hope they can pull it together, but that's tough, man. There's nothing more to say, and that's tough. Their offense kind of really struggled to get it going until the end, but, I mean, they kind of ran out of room. But that still doesn't change the fact that they're a good team, but they kind of left everything at the back of the house because obviously – they didn't really bring it, so that's a tough loss, but, I mean, I guess it happens. We see upsets, and we saw one. So that leads us to the next team, my final team, which is Wisconsin. They've only got to play 3 games. It's been tough. It's been a rough ride for the Badgers. Had to cancel the Minnesota game, and now they get Indiana and Iowa.
Those will be good games.
They will be great games. I don't think they won't be, but they keep putting these. They never give. It seems like they never give the Big Ten many primetime games because OU Baylor's primetime, but yet we have Indiana Wisconsin at 2:30. So,
well,
I really
also
feel like
as I mentioned, Nebraska of all our 5 games we played, they were all 11.
11. That's just how it goes for a team that's struggling. So here we go for these final 2 games for Wisconsin. I think they're gonna drop one. Potentially both. I could definitely see them losing both and going under 500 for the year. I definitely could see it. Yeah. So, Indiana, analyzing it, it's going to be a really good game. I feel like it's going to be in that 20s range. But I see probably... I like what Indiana's doing. I think Indiana's probably going to win a slim game. So, that's Wisconsin's first loss. And if that Iowa team keeps rolling how they're rolling right now, I feel like they're going to win by potentially 1 or 2 scores. They got... their defense is still really good. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, was the close win versus Nebraska, but... nothing changed the fact that they blew up Penn State, got a nice win versus Minnesota, which wasn't top 25 to start the year, keep in mind. Dominant versus Michigan State, and then had their close losses to good Northwestern and Purdue, which Rutgers beat Purdue? That's something to mention. Rutgers turning it around, man. That's crazy. So here's what we're looking like in the standings. Iowa is technically second with the 2 losses, but, that will sort itself out with the Wisconsin game at the end of the year. But, wow, I think it's because it's just total wins. But, yeah, that's crazy. Indiana's played the most games in the East, I should say. So.
Yep, they've played 6 games, all 6 of them so far. The only one to do it. So, yeah.
Only one to do it. Not even Oklahoma could do it. So, yeah, that rounds out Wisconsin. I still think they're a decent team, but I don't see the future being bright. I just put them there because I don't think Oklahoma State was deserving of the 15th spot. Maybe Coastal Carolina. I really wasn't pleased with my options.
So, speaking of that, do you want to let's just go in and rail on the college football playoff committee's weird rankings here real quick. So, they have Iowa State at number 9, which is fair. I considered putting them at number 9. I'm just not quite ready to do that because, I'm obviously follow the team quite closely.
I think earlier in the year he had them all the way up at 8 at one point.
Yeah, I did. I was feeling very positive about the team, but then I've seen a few things that I'm not as sure about, and I'm just waiting and seeing just a little bit. Now, obviously, we're not going to learn anything about Oklahoma and Iowa State with the last couple games because, what? They're playing Kansas and Kansas State. There's nothing that...
I think Iowa State only has West Virginia.
Okay, West Virginia. That'll be a good game. And then Oklahoma, they have West Virginia and Kansas. I'm sorry, we're not going to learn too much about...
Are you calling Baylor Kansas now?
Yeah, so Baylor is the new Kansas.
They beat Kansas bad. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, we're not going to learn too much about either of these teams, their remaining games. Other than I'll probably just confirm my suspicions about Oklahoma, but we're not going to learn much about them. So Iowa State's at 9. They have BYU at 13, which is just disrespectful. They have Oklahoma State at 15. They moved them up. I think
after getting a 6-point win over a 3-win team.
Yeah,
I thought this was a good defense, man. Come on.
Yeah, they don't have a good defense. I'm sorry. They're bad.
Obviously
defense.
Not. Ugh.
Yeah, so they move up North Carolina for the close loss to Notre Dame, which, fine, you could do that if you want to, but they drop Texas out of the top 25 altogether. They dropped them from 17 out, despite the fact that they played Iowa State really closely. So, College Football Playoff Committee, make up your mind. Don't just keep picking favorites. Is this just really stupid? Coastal should be higher. They are going to have a really nice signature win, most likely this weekend when they play Liberty. That'll be a big game. And Cincinnati versus Tulsa, that'll be a big game. There's just some weird stuff happening with this college football.
I'm really impressed with those Golden Hurricane, man. There's no doubt about it. I know they've had to postpone 4 games. That still doesn't change the fact that they're a good team.
Yeah.
Really good team.
So do you want to finish? Do you want to finish with your thoughts on the playoff ranking here to end the video?
I will. I want to talk about Tulsa for just a second.
Yes,
that's all right. I'll make it pretty quick. So I think Tulsa officially, it would be a 2-loss tie with Memphis if they were to slip one of these or slip Navy. But
yes,
I'm not sure how that. I'm not sure who that would go to. Houston actually has 2 losses too, so that's something. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but I see them beating Navy. Navy Not great. Not great. 3-5 is not great. And it's Cincinnati. It's going to be a great game. There's no doubt about it. You saw how close Tulsa played Iowa State, and then not Iowa State,
Oklahoma
OSU.
State.
And then they beat UCF and SMU, man. And this team fights, man. They don't give up, man. You got the third-string quarterback in there down 14-0 in the fourth quarter, and you still find a way to convert a 4th and 13 and get a Hail Mary on the final play of the game and a pick six in the second overtime to win the game. You can't tell me this team's not good.
Yep,
There's no way.
I've been calling
it since the offseason. Tulsa's going to have a good season.
And he's not wrong. I know we weren't making videos till week 5, but he was telling me that he liked the offense. He didn't say much, but he said he liked the offense. So I'll vouch for him on that part of it. Tulsa's good, man. I'm excited for Zach Smith have one more year. Oh, yeah, everybody's going to. It says he's a senior, but I would be surprised if he doesn't come back and try to help this team. So
yeah, particularly since he doesn't necessarily have a great chance to go to the NFL this year.
He does.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that players who don't have a great chance to go to NFL this
okay, I'm sorry.
year
I thought you said he had a great
chance to improve their draft stock.
Yeah, he needs to stay one more year if I had to be honest. So, yeah, that's our rankings, guys. And my final thoughts is, for the CFB playoff rankings, CFF, whatever. Very disrespectful to BYU. They're very inconsistent. You put Oklahoma State up 8 spots after being teched by 6, and you're going to move North Carolina up 2 spots after losing Notre Dame by 14, but then you're going to drop Texas after losing by 3 to a top 10 team, and Oregon went down 8 spots. I think that's fair, though. Let's see here. They got Marshall, had 21. That's not bad. I'm just checking. USC went down 2 spots, and they won. So I'm not sure.
Well, they didn't play. They didn't play what would have been a really good game against an undefeated Colorado. So that they really need that game.
Ooh. Now, where's Colorado? They should be closer to the outside. Yeah. Okay, they got 21 votes in the AP, so they're definitely at least getting somewhat recognized. Very disrespectful to BYU. I think it's very fair what they have Cincinnati with the resume. No problem with that. I think they got Georgia maybe slightly high. I get that's all right. Same with Miami, but I mean it's kind of the same situation with what I had, but just my opinions. And then their love for A&M, I think it's no. I don't know why they're not looking at the whole resume. You can't tell me. Like, the only game... Yeah, the biggest margin of... Okay, South Carolina. Let's exclude that. The biggest margin of victory for A&M besides... South Carolina was by 14 points to Mississippi State, who is, 2 and something? Ugh.
That's terrible.
2-6.
Yeah.
Awful. So, I don't know what to say. They just lost to their rival, Ole Miss. But I'm kind of dumbfounded by how inconsistent their rankings are. I do give it to them that if they're really just doing it to get the top 4 teams, I think they got it as of right now. I think Clemson at 3 is a good spot. I think I had Ohio State at 3 at one point, but I think Clemson with Trevor Lawrence back, they were up 31-0 at the end of the first quarter. That's saying something, man. One more game versus VT here, and then they'll be in their the ECC championship game. With the tiebreaker win over Miami, if Miami even gets to play games at this point. They'll be playing in January, regular season games at this point. That's just how it's going. It's 2020. So that is my thoughts on the rankings. They're inconsistent, and I would like to see a little more consistency than just them trying to get the top 4 teams right. I think it would be nice.
Yeah, I agree. So with that being said, those are our rankings for this week. What are your rankings? Put them down below. We just want to have some college football conversations with y'all, and we want to find who the best teams are. Put your rankings down below. Please give some reasons. And yeah, with that being said, I want to thank Red River Aviation for joining me. I do have some parting words for the great people on YouTube.
Go Sooners, go Golden Hurricane. It's going to be a nice weekend of college football. Really excited for some of those Big Ten matchups, man. I usually don't love watching other conferences besides the Big 12, but I got to say that Indiana, Wisconsin, and there's going to be a couple other good ones, too. If
Nebraska, Purdue. Nebraska game, always good.
Yeah. There we go. Going to be a lot of good games as well. We'll see if Cincinnati's off. My bad. Just all those great matchups. I know there's too many of them to mention, but excited, man. Excited. It's going to be a great weekend.
Absolutely. So, want to thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless, and go Big Red.